Hey y'all, Jeff here, Water Turkey 1620 on the garage. Working on this is a chain case I got from a parts, this place that I know in the middle of our state. If you look at our state, right about there in the middle of our state. I'd give his name and his card, but I don't have permission to do that, and I wish I could. Anyways, well, I'm working on it because I needed to replace the chain case on this 650 that I'm doing. There's a little differences in it. I mean, yeah, it looks the same, but you know what it says. There's a difference. Why? Because it comes through here, the jack shaft comes through here. You have the rotor, you know, you have a rotor like a car. It sits back here. Your brake, the caliper, everything sits on top of this. While on this one has the same features, but in here, what gets bolted there is you have bolts here for you got a coolant hose that's going to come up, and there's going to be here on top of this caliper, which I got to get the rest of it. This is my other problem with this sled. I've had to go, excuse me, I've had to go and get a lot of parts that I wasn't expected to get. So now I got to get the caliper and the rotor and everything, plus the caliper on top of the brake pads in the rotor have a heater core that goes through a hose, and it cools it off. So that's why this is different. And plus, this is a 650. That was only a 550 in there. And these are the teeth that come out of it. Out of this chain case. Looks like any size, any normal size. Well, this is 19 teeth. Normally it tells you on the part. But seeing this is an original part, for some reason it doesn't have it on there, so it must have been replaced. Supposedly original part. Well, this one is too. And normally it'll tell you right here you have the you have the part number. Normally it'll tell you how many teeth. Well, I'm guessing around 39, because that one and the other one I have that came off that 550 is different. Sorry for the back and forth. I still haven't myself, so I'm recording what I can. And here's the difference. The difference is this is 39 teeth, and it'll tell you right here 39 teeth. And you know the part number, and of course your manufacturers on this one. And the difference is in the size. If you can see it, right? Obviously, this is a bigger gear, not a taller gear. This is for taller gear. That means more RPM. Bigger gear means less RPM on the clutch as it works, because it's designed for a 550. They're only set for maybe 70,000 maybe RPMs for max. You know, so this is set to go at 7,500 RPMs up to 8. I think it's 8,500 RPMs. That's what it is. So the difference, it's just like changing rear end. If you have a race car, it's like changing the quick. You know, you got a quick end rear. You could swap these around and go like that. You know, kind of thing. But you can't do that with a snowmobile. You could, but you got to make sure you got the right teeth, because some manufacturers are different than others. Most of them are going to be the same. Some are a little off, especially for older models and sleds. Whatever you have that you're rebuilding, it'll be different for sure. That I know, because I've had older sleds and don't have them anymore, and I had a Scorpion, and it was different. So I know they are. So. See, here's the breaker rotor, and this is your jack shaft, which goes across. This goes to the secondary clutch. This goes to this. Then you have your chain case. The top of it's here, it rides here. And the bottom of it rides where your spindle is on your track. And this is your spindle on your track, which goes in the bottom right here. Sorry I'm making noise, I got parts that I just got and they've got to be cleaned up. As you can see, that jack shaft needs a little work. So I'll give it a little work, you know. No big deal. Because I use my handy dandy wheel on my bench grinder, on my bench grinder. I've got different types of accessories for my drill. Of course, I get different ones, different brands. Of course, I got this brand. I've got one that's called Porter Cable. I have DeWalt, I have Milwaukee. Not sponsoring anything. I'm just saying this is the tools I use for some of the cordless stuff, you know. So yeah, this is cool. My wife actually got me a. Well, I would show you the tray. I'll show you another time in another video, Cherry. Just don't want to mess with moving stuff around. You know, so I just wanted to show you a quick thing what chain cases are and what their purpose is. You know, so and why what I'm doing is part of my story, you know. I'm rebuilding myself. Not only am I doing that, but I'm rebuilding a sled. And I'm trying to finish this one up, obviously, because I do want to do another one. Of course, I'm ready for the snow to fall. You know, it's getting that time of the year. It's getting colder around here. We've already had our first frost. So, you know, it's looking good, weather-wise. So I'll be getting on the old Skidoo XRS and be able to go out there and show you guys some riding. So that'll be fun, you know. So I came in to do that, you know. Show you a little fun, then find another sled to rebuild and start on that project. If anybody's got a snowmobile that they think they want to rebuild or have an idea they want to give me, send me an idea. I'm willing and able to work on pretty much anything. I figured it out. I don't have a problem figuring it out, to be honest. It's still up here, honestly. Even after a liver transplant and a stroke, being a veteran, you know, thank you for the family, my donor. I can't forget my donor, never can. Can't forget their family, their loss. I have a part of them in me, keeping me alive. So in my mind, I keep them alive in spirit. You know, so they're up there having fun, hanging out with hopefully my family members, their family members, your family members that you lost. They're all having a great time being free of every pain, aches, mental fatigue, work, bills, sometimes family, friends, all those things. Those are things you think about when you're going through the delivery process before you even get delivered. Knowing that you're already half dead, which most of the time I always told myself, no, I wasn't. I didn't look bad. I didn't look bad. Bullshit, I look like crap. Sorry, those are my squeaky tables. Yes, my garage is not very level, I'll be honest with you. I could have seen you come to this house and check it out, you would laugh. Really. If I could find a good contractor that could come in and pour our new garage, hell yeah, but I can't do that. Of course, I live in a HOH, so you know, kibosh is on a lot of things, pretty much around here. So, but hey, it is what it is. Excuse me. I just want to say too to y'all, you'll hear my story. I'll bring it up, and I'm not afraid to talk about it at all. You know, really, I'm not. You know, it's just one of those things in life that I had to challenge, and it was a fucking challenge. But I won that challenge, but somebody lost their challenge. So, is it a good thing? Yeah, it's a good thing. Is it a bad thing? Yeah, because somebody died. So it equals sometimes confusion, sometimes gratitude. Too much gratitude that I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do with. So, you know, just letting people know that, you know, if you're willing and able to sign up or however any way to be an organ donor, donate your organs. I understand if you can't, you won't want to, whatever. You got people in your family who want body parts, you know? I mean, honestly, there are people out there that do weird stuff when people die. So, you know, just saying, think about it. Just give it a thought, that's all. So, you know, and the other thing too is, you know, after I had my liver transplant in July 27 of 2024, which is now, what is today, November 3rd, 2025. So that gives you a rough time frame of how long I've been out of the liver transplants and gone through the liver clinic and many doctor's appointments. Lots of blood draws. So many blood draws, I can't even use this arm anymore. And that's sad. I can only use this arm. What can I do? But, you know, that's the thing. They've slowed down. Life's gotten better. I am surviving. No, I survived a stroke too. That's what I was getting at. Is I had a stroke 3 months after my transplant. In that first week of October 2024. So I might be somewhere in that time. And I thought, what else could go wrong? I mean, come on, God, how many times you can strike me with lightning, you know? I mean, you can only hit a man so many times, and then sooner or later, the man ain't gonna respond, and that man responds. So, you know, I'm telling you this because this stuff goes through my head all the time. And people don't understand that. I try to explain, but it's very hard for people to explain, because if you haven't been in this situation, it's hard to really let people in and tell them, hey, this shit's no joke. Yes, I drank. I quit drinking in 2020, on March 3rd of 2020, actually, just as COVID was getting worse. Of all things, I quit drinking then, I did not know I had liver cirrhosis at all. It wasn't until 6 or 7 months later down the road, I was having dinner, my wife and I, with a friend, and I couldn't eat. I went to the bathroom, got sick, came back out and said, we gotta go. You know, I went to the ER, they checked me out, they thought, hey, you look good, I don't know what's wrong. Blood draws, everything came back normal. So I said, screw it. I went to my VA doctor, and my VA doctor there, we ran a bunch of things, went through a bunch of ideas, couldn't figure it out. Nobody could figure it out. And then finally a blood draw came back with some high levels in your blood. Your alk phos, your acid, your potassium and everything was elevated way too high. And that threw up a red flag, and she decided then for me to go to Ann Arbor, the VA in Ann Arbor, because I was at the VA in Saginaw, which is in the middle of our state, which I've shown you what our state looks like, y'all. Just use your hand and point in the middle. Or point over by the end of your index finger, or your thumb, I mean, sorry. Just go this way. Now, we'll go like this. Yep, whatever. You know how it is. The state is just, it's a high five. Doesn't matter. Sorry. The thing is, I ended up going to Ann Arbor, and it took them several more months before they finally figured that the liver was failing, and I did have cirrhosis. And from there, it was like, okay, next plan. Got to put you on a donation list. So I was on the list, looking for a donor. So that took many, I would say the next 3.5 years, I was in the hospital. If I wasn't in the hospital, I was at a doctor's appointment. If I was in the doctor's appointment, I was in the hospital. It went on and on and on. And when they got to the point where it got too serious, they said, all right, we're going to send you to, here you go. You got 5 choices in the VA. You got 5 cities that do the best liver transplant. 5 cities. Madison, Wisconsin, I'm sorry. Indiana. Tennessee, Florida, and Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. To Pittsburgh, because my liver doctor has friends there. So, all right, cool. We get on a plane, her and I, paid for our tickets, everything there. But when we got there, the VA picked up the tab the rest of the way, which was awesome. Of course, we already had our flights booked, obviously. So we went there for a weekend to see their liver doctor, and they checked me out and everything. And they didn't look convinced. Now, I wasn't convinced with them. I didn't like their doctors. I'm sorry. I was a bad patient. Let me tell you this. First of all, I'm a very hard-headed man, and I was a very, very bad patient. But I told everybody up front, I don't want no shit. Don't mind. Don't fucking sugarcoat it for me. Tell me the fucking truth and be honest. Because if you're not honest, I will not be honest with you. That's it. It's plain and simple. At the time, that was my attitude. Because I knew it was serious, and I had that shit done soon. So we come back to Michigan. Anyways, I want to keep continuing the story. I don't want to keep going on, but we came back to Michigan, and they wanted to bring me on, and it took another month, and then finally I went there. So from there I'll get into more, because there is a lot more than I thought. So I want to thank you all for liking, subscribing and giving me this opportunity to share my voice, my story, my passion of snowmobiling, my passion of the University of Michigan, my passion of the Navy, you know, and the passion for life, I guess, you know, that's the biggest thing. It's life. I'm not ready to leave this place, that's for sure. So thank you all again, really, honestly. You've been awesome so far, and you guys keep doing it, man, and I'll keep commenting, I'll reply. No, I want to keep reminding everybody, I told you, doesn't matter if it's negative or positive, just reply. I'll comment. I'm pretty reasonable guy, honestly. So, thank you all right? Y'all take it easy.